All right, thank you. My name is Matt Schadow. I want to welcome everybody. So good morning. I'm with the Maristar Agency, and I'm also chair-elect of the TwinWest Board of Directors. And on behalf of TwinWest, I'd like to thank you for the opportunity to partner with the City of St. Louis Park for this State of the City event today. It's great to see many business leaders in attendance. And TwinWest is perhaps the most active chamber in the region, if not the state. Our members represent a variety of businesses and industries, from internationally renowned corporations to home-based businesses. Most of you are familiar with TwinWest and our activities, but please allow me just a few moments to share some of the highlights. TwinWest is an advocate for business. We are the voice of business in government, and provide our members opportunities to grow their businesses and improve their communities. TwinWest operates with an entrepreneurial spirit. We are proactive, innovative, creative, and forward-thinking. A great example of that leadership is demonstrated in the Meadowbrook Collaborative right here in St. Louis Park. We know that children who spend time in a quality, structured preschool environment do better socially and academically than their peers who have not had a similar experience. With the funds provided through the TwinWest Foundation, a licensed teacher leads 3 to 5-year-olds in the Meadowbrook neighborhood in activities that specifically help with kindergarten readiness. The St. Louis Park Business Council continues to bring business, city, and school officials together each month to discuss issues of importance in the city of St. Louis Park. Chaired by TwinWest member Kim Fishman of Cheers Audiology, the council averages 35 to 40 attendees each month and has enjoyed very positive feedback with a Spotlight on Business segment of the agenda, which provides a business or organization time to talk about their company and the services or products they provide. Quick announcement on the Business Council. Next month we are not meeting. It's on the scheduled meeting was going to be March 5th, but we're going to forego that, and in the hopes that those who would have attended the Business Council will go to the Children's First Breakfast at 7:30 at the Doubletree. So there's a little plug for Karen. Thanks to TwinWest member John McCain of Beltline Properties for hosting our monthly Business Council meeting at the Wolf Lake Professional Center. We appreciate that. I'd also like to thank Brad Bach and the Citizens Independent Bank for hosting the coffee. If you'd like to attend a future Business Council meeting, please check out the TwinWest events calendar at twinwest.com or contact the chamber directly. Members and non-members are welcome. TwinWest has a long history of working with our local governments. We recognize the importance of strong cities in creating a healthy business climate, and we appreciate the active involvement and support of our elected officials as well as city staff. We want to particularly thank the City of St. Louis Park for its leadership and support over the years for the proposed Southwest Light Rail line that will run from Minneapolis through St. Louis Park to Eden Prairie. Southwest Light Rail Transit will mean future economic growth, job creation in the corridor, along with improved transit options to connect businesses with workers. Thank you to Mayor Jeff Jacobs, the City of St. Louis Park, and the St. Louis Park City Council, City Manager Tom Harmening, for their leadership and great partnership shared with the TwinWest Chamber of Commerce. Now it is my pleasure to introduce Tom Harmening, St. Louis Park City Manager, who will kick off our event today.
Thanks. Good morning, everybody. Matt mentioned the Children First Champions Breakfast. I want you to know I still have spots available at my table. This is a pitch. It's a dynamic table. So there's applications in the back if you want to sit at my table, and I'll review those and then decide who I'll allow. So, yeah, feel free. Please feel free to join me. I'd love it. And please come to that event if you're able. Good morning. My name's Tom Harmening. I'm the city manager for St. Louis Park. It's really a pleasure to be here, and it's really a pleasure to see all of you. I know a lot of faces here in this room, and it's great that you came out again to learn more about all of the great things that are happening in St. Louis Park and to hear from Mayor Jacobs as well. Before I begin, and this is always a risky thing to do, I want to recognize some people in the room of note. We have Second Ward Councilmember Ann Mavity. We have at-large Councilmember Jake Spano. We have Third Ward Councilmember Greg Lindberg. We also have from the school board, Joe Tatalovich is here. Thank you, Joe, for being here. Julie Schweitzer, who is also the chair of the school board this year. We also have Marion Green, Commissioner Marion Green, Hennepin County Commissioner Marion Green, who represents St. Louis Park, doing a great job. Also, Cheryl Uacum is here as well, our representative. Steve Simon moved on to be Secretary of State, and now we have Cheryl representing us. She was a council member in Hopkins, did a great job there, and she's really off to a good start representing St. Louis Park. Also have Rob Metz here, the school superintendent, joining us. And I wanted to mention Kim Fishman is here. She is with Cheers Audiology, and she is also the chair of the St. Louis Park Business Council. And she's really been great to work with. She was instrumental in helping us get this room, and I'm not going to get it all stated correctly, Kim, but it's basically wired with a it's a telecoil equipped room for hearing devices. So if you have a hearing device, you may have the ability to switch something on that will help you hear better or more clearly as the presentation continues. So hopefully I didn't miss anybody, and thank you for being here. So we've had some interesting state of the cities over the years, the last 4 years, 5 years. We've done a bit of a road show. The first year, about 5 years ago, we were at the Icon Theaters and did an Academy Awards-based State of the City. Some of you might recognize that or remember that. After that, we did a drink drive and flush themed State of the City down at our MSC, our Municipal Service Center, where we presented to you, really the guts of what the city does every day in terms of providing services to you and the rest of the community. After that, we met at Fire Station number 1, showed that new building off, and had a public safety theme, and both fire and police did some exercises. The mayor and I and some other TwinWest members also had a contest of shooting a hose and putting on gear. That was interesting. I think, Jeff, didn't you have like size 4 shoes or something like that? You couldn't.
Got them on, but they needed the jaws of life.
That's right. And then last year, we were at the rec center talking about all of our parks and recreation programming, and we did have to repair the Zamboni after the mayor drove it. It wasn't damaged too badly, but insurance covered that, Jeff, so I think we're okay on that. So that's right. So today, we're going to do a bit more of a traditional approach to talking about St. Louis Park. I'm going to update you a little bit on what's going on here in the community, and then Jeff is going to back cleanup and really talk a little bit more thoughtfully about public service and his experience here in St. Louis Park. So I've learned over the years, never go after Jeff, always go before Jeff, because it's just a buzzkill otherwise. So on your tables, or in your seats I should say, there should be a handout like this, a report to the community. It's really kind of the first time we did something like this. I'm going to walk through this very quickly, or relatively quickly, because there's a lot going on in St. Louis Park, and I want to make sure I touch on all of it. So if you could turn to the blue section in your packet, or in your handout, there's a couple of pages that talk about all of the development activity that has gone on in St. Louis Park, and it's been really incredible. We've come out of the Great Recession very strongly. Just a few projects I wanted to point out, and a lot of these are pending projects. Methodist Hospital is planning a major expansion at their hospital, basically building on to some of the existing building space there, both on the east side and west side of the building. I wanted to point that out in particular. As far as West End goes, the second phase of that whole development, called Central Park West, has been preliminarily approved by the council, and you might see some construction happening there. It's located in that open area, as John Basil used to call it, the festival grounds where Cavalia was located. That all is going to be developed. That's where Central Park West is located. Wanted to point out the McGarvey Coffee site at Wooddale and 7. The city is actually in the process of purchasing that property. It's intended to be a strategic purchase. It's located right near the Southwest LRT station at that location, and we're buying that, working with the development community to get a really exciting project done at that location. Another great story is the Nestle building renovation project, also known as Novartis, and for those of you that have been around longer, Sandoz. I remember when it was called Sandoz. A developer by the name of Hillcrest Development acquired that property and is incredibly transforming that building. Just great tenants locating in there. The Fish Guys, Zero Res is locating their total operation in that building. Lyman Lumber wants to come in the building, plus a lot of other creative types of businesses locating in that building. And it's really a fabulous story of a partnership between the city and the developer to make that happen. So lots of employment coming back into that building, and we're very, very pleased to hear about that. Wanted to talk a little bit about Knollwood Mall. That shopping area really is being repositioned. The developer has come in and done incredible work to really change that whole shopping experience, and you've seen a lot of that happen. You might have also heard that that property was recently sold. Corey Baltima tells me, he's our city assessor, it's sold for almost $107 million, which is a very, very strong sales price, and I think recognizes a lot of the good things that are going on in St. Louis Park. The other one I wanted to mention was West End. The part of West End that's done, that's complete, recently sold as well. It sold for $117 million. And Corey, I believe that's one of the highest valued sales in the metro area on a per square foot basis for a retail type project. So that's very exciting, and there's lots of good things that are going to be happening up there as well. One thing I didn't have in your handout relates to one of our larger employers, Japs Olson, located in the southwest part of the community on Excelsior Boulevard. They are proposing almost a 200,000 square foot expansion, about 190,000 and some square feet on the west side of their building. And we're extremely happy to hear that. They employ over 600 people now and could add as much as 100 to 150 employees with this expansion. It's a little tricky. Part of their property is located in Hopkins, so we're actually going through an exercise right now of swapping some property that's in Hopkins will come into St. Louis Park, and some property in St. Louis Park will go into Hopkins. Hopkins is being great to work with on that, and we hope to get that done here in the near future so they can start construction. So a very, very exciting project on that part of town. All right, I'm going to talk a little bit about permit revenue and activity in the community. As I just discussed, there's lots of things on the drawing board, but lots of things have happened in our community. In 2014, we had our most significant amount of new development happen in the city from a value perspective, almost $130 million worth of new building construction in our community. That could be commercial, industrial, could be multifamily residential, it could be single family additions, and the like. So a very, very strong year. We're expecting just as strong a year in 2015 as 2014, if not stronger. So that is located on the red portion of your handout. The red page shows the value and all of the permits that we issued. That amounted to almost $3 million in revenue to the city. When people get permits, they pay a permit fee, and then we work with the permit holder on inspection. So it's also provided a nice revenue source for our organization as well. One thing not in here that I want to mention relates to our Convention and Visitors Bureau, Discover St. Louis Park. We've talked about that before. Just an incredible success story, and the numbers really show that or lend to that. The city created a lodging tax a few years ago, so if you stayed at the DoubleTree, for example, and you rented a room for $100, there's a 3% lodging tax, so you'd pay $3 that would go to the city of St. Louis Park and then passed on to the Visitors Bureau. In 2011, their revenues were right around $600,000. So that's based on actual room stays and what the price points were for actually renting a room. In 2014, it was over $805,000. So despite John Basil, we still were successful in bringing people to St. Louis Park. We finally got rid of that dead wood, and we're going to have a new president and CEO coming in soon. So that's what Kirsten told me, though, and others from the staff said they were very happy about that. So I'm not saying, but I'm saying. One of the things that we're going to be presenting at the Business Council meeting in April, I believe, is an outline of small business assistance program package that we've put together that not only will explain some of the things that we're doing already, like the Open to Business programs, but some other things that we're going to be doing as well. For example, I was at a Business Council meeting a few months ago, and business there, run by a person by the name of Donna Saunders, talked about how she helps small business, particularly in Minneapolis, work their way through the maze of permits and rules and regulations and approvals. And it struck me that maybe having something like that here in St. Louis Park would be helpful as well. So Donna will be available along with staff if small business here in St. Louis Park, and we characterize small business generally as being 50 employees or under. If they're interested in expanding or locating here, we want to make that as easy as possible, and Donna will be available along with staff to do that. So we've got a full package that we're going to be presenting to the Business Council. I was hoping we could have the brochure here today that talked about that a bit. It's not available right now, but it will be soon. So wanted to mention that. From an infrastructure perspective, this would be on the green portion of your handout. It's kind of the name of the game in St. Louis Park, along with development. Big stuff going on. That's not to diminish the importance of all of the other stuff that we do every year, like our pavement management program. Around $1.5 million to $2 million worth of street improvements are done as a part of that. All of our water main and sewer main replacement, park improvements and the like. Those add up to big dollars, and the council's been very consistent in making sure we maintain our infrastructure. But we also have three big projects I wanted to point out. Highway 100 being a significant one of those. We've been talking about the Highway 100 project as long as I've been here, which is over 20 years. I came here in 1995, and we were talking about it, and it's finally going to happen here in 2015, basically, starting in 2015. And you're seeing a lot of work occur out there already. The big stuff is going to happen this spring. The Minnetonka Boulevard Bridge is coming out in April. That's obviously going to be a major impact on the community and the people who pass through our community, so we're working actively with MnDOT on that. After that bridge is replaced, then the Highway 7 bridge will be pulled out. That will even have perhaps a more significant impact because it carries a lot more traffic. And during that whole time, the railroad bridges further south are being replaced as well. So you can expect some interesting travels here in the next couple of years between Minnetonka Boulevard and Highway 7. Follow the detours, and we'll make sure that we communicate as much as we can along with MnDOT to make sure that project goes as well as possible. Just finished up the Highway 7 and Louisiana Avenue project, our first foray into roundabouts, and while there's still some people driving or stuck on that roundabout, PD has to go there occasionally and kind of help them along a little bit. We've gotten very positive remarks. The traffic moves through that area so much easier and safer, and this spring we hope to clean up and landscape the area, and we'll have some kind of ribbon cutting or some event to recognize that project here in the spring or summer. So really appreciate the patience of the business community in that area. There's a few of them here, like Rachel Fitzgerald from Ready Rents, and Phil Weber from Park Tavern. And again, I took a risk by perhaps leaving somebody out here, but we really appreciate your patience and sticking in there with it, and hopefully we can move on now and your business continues to grow. Then last but not least, and Matt mentioned this, Southwest LRT, 2014 was a very pivotal year in that project. Thankfully, we were able to land on a final alignment for light rail and the freight rail. You're probably tired of hearing me talk about freight rail, and I can tell you I'm just as tired of talking about it as you are of hearing about it. But a very difficult, very stressful, very tense year. Some great leadership here by the City Council and members of our community to make sure that St. Louis Park's interests were well represented, and thankfully now we can move on. So the Southwest LRT Project Office is moving into further design of that project. The goal is to basically have that wrapped up by the end of this year, the end of 2015, and then move on to what's called the Record of Decision, which is an FTA name for certain approvals, and then that will continue to let the project evolve such that construction can start in 2016. So there's still some funding issues at the state legislature. We know that. The state still has to come up with its full share. Our legislators here know that. Cheryl Uwacom, our representative, obviously has been a great supporter of Southwest, and she's carrying the message well, as is Commissioner Green and our council. So TwinWest, we would continue to ask for your support in making sure that the state comes through with the funding they need so the FTA feels comfortable moving forward with the project. So that's Southwest. If you would go to the yellow portion of your handout, I want to talk just a little bit about budget. In December, like all cities, the council adopted its operating budget for 2015. It's about a $32.5 million budget. $27 million of that is from property taxes paid by you and other people that live or work in this community or have a business. You'll see also in the report some indication of the kinds of services that we provide as a part of that $34 million. We, for example, have 10,000 trees that we need to maintain. We have 550 acres of parks that we need to mow every week. Obviously, we have great police and fire protection. They certainly demonstrated that earlier this week with a pretty serious incident in our community. 135 miles of streets to plow every time it snows, and we've got a lot of sidewalks as well to clear as a part of that. So all of that costs about $3 a day. And we think that's a pretty good deal. We're hoping that you feel the same way because it's important that we show value for what you pay in your property taxes as a part of living or doing business here in St. Louis Park. One thing I did want to mention that is not in the packet that we're very excited about, we have 15,000 water meters in our community. This is not necessarily, really sexy stuff, but it's important. We've got 15,000 water meters in this community, some of them very, very old, and we basically have to read all of those manually. It's a little archaic, so we're moving forward with a project here this coming year where we're going to replace all of those water meters with wireless remote readers. And I know wireless is always a dangerous word in this building, but they do work. It's a tested technology, and that will allow us to provide much better customer service, more accurate readings of water usage, and basically better manage that resource, that water resource, which is really an important thing. So if you have a business or a home here in St. Louis Park, we're going to be knocking on your door here over the next year and coming into your building and replacing that water meter. So just a heads up on that. I want to talk a little bit about neighborhoods. It's in the orange section of your handout. Our neighborhoods really are the foundation of this community. The city has been serious about our neighborhoods and ensuring we have strong neighborhoods since the early 90s. And in fact, in about 1996, the council actually had a retreat where the focus was about our neighborhoods and whether we were going to go all in on it, so to speak. And very wisely, the council decided, yes, we do need to go all in, and they've devoted resources to make sure that we can work in collaboration with our neighborhoods to keep them strong or help them organize and the like. We currently have 28 established neighborhoods in our community. That means they have boards and presidents and bylaws and function really as a cohesive group. We find that there are a whole host of advantages of having strong neighborhoods, one of which is, and I've used this before, I view the neighborhood associations as kind of a farm team, using a baseball metaphor, because we're developing leadership in our neighborhoods, and those leaders then can become planning commissioners or city council members and the like. And I think there's great examples of this in our room. Our city council is made up of people who have been neighborhood leaders or on commissions, and it certainly has shown that that leadership development is very important. Some things that we've done over the last year to better communicate with our residents and with our business is a new app called Public Stuff. So if you go on your iPhone, for example, or your Android, and you go to the apps section and you type in Public Stuff, or My St. Louis Park actually is what you type in. Public Stuff is the actual platform. If you type in My St. Louis Park, it's free. And you can have it on your iPhone, and you can use that either to make service requests on your iPhone or other whatever smartphone you might have, learn information, have information pushed to you if you would like. So it's a really great tool to stay connected with the city. If you want to find a council member's phone number real quick, you can go on there, boom, press that button, and you've got Jake Spano's phone number, because he always likes getting phone calls. Greg and Ann as well, of course. And the mayor, well, without question. Really neat tool, though, that I think you might want to take advantage of. We also have a reverse 911 system called Park Alert. So if something serious happens in the community, we're able to push out a message to either a distinct part of the community or the entire community on whatever that issue might be. We use it predominantly now for snow emergencies. It's landline based, so if you have a landline in St. Louis Park, that message will come to you. You can also sign up for Park Alert as well through your smartphone, your home phone, whatever you like. Could be text, could be email, could be voice. So you might want to think about that as well. I want to talk a little bit about volunteers, and there's volunteers in this room, and we're very fortunate to have a community that really believes in giving back. We have seen really a significant growth in volunteers over the last couple of years, and that's because we've placed a greater emphasis on it. In 2013, we had about 1,200 volunteers who provided real work and real contribution to the community. In 2014, we had 1,400 volunteers who provided about 8,000 hours of service to the community, which is really neat. An example, we have an Adopt a Hydrant program where, and we have a kit that, for example, residents can use to paint the hydrant in their neighborhood or on their block. We also encourage people through the Adopt a Hydrant program to shovel out their hydrant in the wintertime. This year hasn't been quite an issue. Last year was a big issue. So it's a way of allowing people to give back to the community, and it's been highly successful. We've had hundreds and hundreds of hydrants maintained by our community over the last year, and it really helps from a staff perspective because they do great work. I want to talk a little bit about Health in the Park. Hopefully most of you have heard about that. A few years ago, or a couple years ago, we were able to get some funding from Blue Cross Blue Shield to undertake a community conversation about how we can make St. Louis Park a healthier, more livable place to be. And it's been incredibly successful. We've got a lot of input from the community. Had a great event last summer, open streets event called Park the Street down on Dakota. And if you were there, I'm sure you would agree it was a lot of fun, a beautiful day. A couple thousand people showed up. We shut down the street and had a great time. We're planning on doing another one of those again this year. It's going to be a little different, but the same idea, and it's going to be over near Texatonka on Texas. Still working out the details of that, but it's something that I would ask that you just keep an eye out for it because more information will be coming out on that. And then last, just want to talk about the environment. This city council and this community is incredibly committed to doing the right thing when it comes to the environment and sustainability and community resiliency. Towards that end, the council has adopted, or created, I should say, a Environment and Sustainability Commission. The chair is here, and Rachel Harris, not Rachel Fitzgerald, sorry. Terry Gips as well. Terry is the current chair. Rachel just was the chair, and now she's the vice chair. And then there's probably some other commissioners in here as well. They are doing just a great job getting cranked up here and providing a lot of energy around the environment, which is just very exciting. An example of something that I think is worth noting is our organics program. We are the only city in Minnesota that has a comprehensive organized organics collection program. So if you're a resident here in St. Louis Park, you're currently being served by Waste Management. We have an organized collection system. And if you'd like to dispose of some of your refuse, your organic material, we will collect that for you. There's about a $4 a quarter cost, so $16 a year. That pays for the bags because we provide you bags. And we have almost 1,400 residents, homeowners in our community signed up for that. And we're making a big push. We want to grow that much greater than what it is. But it's a very unique program. It's about doing the right thing when it comes to the environment and disposing of our waste properly that can be reused. And if you're a homeowner here in St. Louis Park, we'd encourage you to sign up for that. We're also now going to be moving into a much greater partnership with the business community, our multifamily business community and our commercial, retail, industrial business community on recycling as well. So over the next year, you're going to hear more from us about how we can work together to help you recycle, help you to dispose of your waste, your organic waste, differently than what you have in the past, and obviously from that have a better impact on the environment. Also, lastly, spending a lot of time on surface water related improvements. If you have not been down near Park Nick, on Excelsior Boulevard, Methodist Hospital, the Creek Remeander project that we partnered with Three Rivers Park, or the Minnehaha Creek Watershed District on, very successful. It's going to be stunning once everything grows back in. I would encourage you this summer to go down there. It's an incredible improvement with a boardwalk and a way to enjoy the creek. We're going to be undertaking a major project at Bass Lake in the next couple of years to really kind of reinvigorate that resource in our community, not just as a place to dump stormwater, but as an aesthetic, environmentally enhanced body of water and wetland as well. So lots of things happening down in that area. So that's it. That's, I don't know, 20-minute recap of some of the things going on in St. Louis Park. I want to thank you for everything you've done to help make that happen, because a lot of people in this room were very much involved. And with that, I'll turn it over to Mayor Jacobs, who's going to bring us home.
Thanks, Tom. Morning, everybody. Thank you for coming out on this cold and somewhat foreboding day. I'll take a little bit off script, as a matter of fact. I have one piece of good news that Jake Spano just shared with me about light rail transit. Jake has been our representative on the CMC, and so I'm very grateful that he's going to this, because it's a lot of work and he's put a lot of time into it. We were one of 7 projects nationally that the FTA approved to move forward in 2015, so that's a good thing. And we also got immediate approval for $150 million in 2015, which I guess, Jake, is about $50 million more than we expected to get. So anytime you get $50 million more than you think from the government, that's a good day. So, all right. Well, as you know, some of you who have been here before, the script is this. Tom does the play-by-play, and I come along and do the spiritual wrap-up. That's my job. And so, for those of you who've been to other States of the City presentation but have not been to this one, brace yourself. Because I have a script here that they get. I love this because they gave me a script that says, Jeff will go off script. That's all it says. I think that's the highest form of flattery you could possibly give a guy like me. And so I actually got a script. I made a script for myself. I have no intention of following it, but I have it in case I need it. So first of all, I really want to thank people. I'm so grateful that Tom is here. I want to thank Tom for his normal good job. Where is he? Where'd he go? He disappeared. For his normal great job of outlining all of the really great things that are going on in St. Louis Park. We are truly lucky to have Tom Harmening. I know I've said this before. Tom is the best city manager in the state of Minnesota. But this time, I really mean it, because he really is the best city manager in the state of Minnesota. He was voted that way by his peers. In fact, even got his smiling face on the front of the governing magazine here. And so we really congratulate Tom because he truly is one of the great assets in St. Louis Park, and we're very, very fortunate to have him. So there you go. Thank you. I'm also very, very grateful and want to thank a number of the people that have, the staff people from St. Louis Park that helped to set this up. Nancy Dino over here, who has reminded me that the theme of today's presentation is gratitude. So I'm to use that word as often as I can. But I really want to thank, and I know that Nancy was very instrumental in setting this meeting up, as well as Kay Medura and Deb Fisher and Bridget Gothberg. And I'm sorry if I leave some people out, because I know that the entire administration department works very hard to set this up, and so I really want to thank you for doing all that. But I really also want to thank all the staff people. We'll talk about this in a little bit. We're really fortunate. When you see all the stuff that's going on here, if you look at all the things in the brochure, I mean, it's the staff people that do that. They are, without question, the most dedicated, committed, competent group of people I've ever had the honor of working with. And I'll talk about that in a little bit later. So thanks to all of them as well. And of course, I always want to thank TwinWest Chamber of Commerce, Brad Meyer, and the entire TwinWest board for the really remarkably strong partnership that we have and relationship that we have with the business community in St. Louis Park. St. Louis Park is a great place to do business. It's a great place to start a business, a great place to expand one. It's a great place to work. It's a great place to go to school. And we're really, really fortunate to have that kind of good relationship with the TwinWest Chamber of Commerce and the business community in general. If you think about it, it is an astonishing fact that any organization with the words Chamber of Commerce in it can have that kind of strong relationship with a whole room full of Democrats. That doesn't happen very often, as a matter. But by God, it happens here. You expected something different from me? What? Anyway, and of course, I really want to thank all of you for coming here today and for being part of the relationships and the partnerships that we have in St. Louis Park. St. Louis Park really is built upon the relationships that we have, not only internally but externally as well. We've got great partnerships with our business community. We've got great partnerships with our schools. We have great partnerships with our neighborhoods, with social services agencies, outside levels of government at all levels, and we're really, really fortunate for that. And so I am truly grateful for all of that. Now, usually that's about where we end up, as a matter of fact. But there is something else I'd like to chat with you about today. My grandmother told me a story once about Abraham Lincoln. She never knew him, but she always liked him. She admired him. Thought he was kind of an interesting guy. He was quoted once as saying that if you wanted to check a person's spending habits, give him money and see what he does with it. But if you really wanted to check a person's character, give him power and see what he does with that. She always thought, I think it's true, that the way a person deals with power, how they manage it, how they restrain it, how they use it, what they do with it, how they diffuse it, and how they transit it, is a pretty good measure of their moral compass. I think that's largely true. You know, power goes by a number of definitions. I suppose it's synonymous with strength. And if you look it up, I mean, it is, I suppose, the ability to compel others to do things they don't want to do. That's kind of what government does. It is, on the other hand, I suppose, the ability to prevent others from making you do things you don't want to do. But I don't think that really works in this context. In this context, power, as I define it, is the unique opportunity and the honor to do things that can touch the future of an entire community. That's real power, if you think about it. Now, power, however, has a dangerous side. We spend a lot of time talking about power in this country, with good reason. If you think about it, I mean, this entire system of government is set up so that you can put limits and constraints on power. That's how we do it. I mean, power, if you think about it, is the ultimate intoxicant. It is the most addictive thing in the world, more than money, more than sex, more than material possessions, more than public notoriety. It drives us. It drives everything. People have died for it. More people than that have died trying to keep other people from having too much of it. So it can be a dangerous thing. And Americans have a love-hate relationship with power, I think. They like having it. It's fun. On the other hand, they don't like it so much when other people they get pushed around by people that have too much of it. And so Americans kind of have this legitimate expectation, I think, that they expect and deserve, and I think in many cases are paying for, an explanation for why power is being used. They want to know why. And they expect and deserve, and in your case, they're paying for, inclusion in the process by which decisions are made that affect them. Now, I think that's pretty important. Power is one currency of democracy. We trade in it. And you see it manifesting itself at various levels of government. Happens at the legislature, where power bases clash in some titanic battle until one of them is vanquished. You see this happening. It's what we call the hurdy-gurdy of politics sometimes. It's what Winston Churchill talked about, the making of sausage and that sort of thing. It's an unsavory process, in my opinion, and one that's hard to justify to almost anybody. I think it's that methodology, that one currency of democracy where you use power as the basis for it, I think is one of the reasons that Congress's approval rating is as high as it is. It's because of the transparent and adult way in which they conduct business up there. God bless them. But it's not the way we do business here. And those of you I know some of you have been to these states of the city before and have heard me, babble on about this, but it is not the way St. Louis Park does business. And when you think about all the great things that are happening here, Tom talked about the what, the when, the where. I'm going to talk about the how. The reason that all these successes happen in St. Louis Park, in my view, is because of the methodology by which those decisions are made. And it is different from that power-based model. And I think it's a better one, frankly. Now, I've stood here for years, and I've talked about that. Those of you who have been here for the last 20 years or so probably remember some of those. We've talked about the Carver governance model, which is based upon the notion of what good for what people at what cost. Kind of utilitarian in a way, but it sort of defines what it is that public bodies do and how they do it and what their main role is. I've talked about, cornball metaphors like the magic wand. I talked about that one time in this very room years ago. That the magic is about including people in meaningful times and ways and places, and including as many people as you can, get all the perspectives that you can find, or who will find you, and you get them involved in the process by which that decision is made before you make it. And the result is magic. It's astonishing what you get. What you get is that. I talked once about the dancing bear. I will not bore you with that story in the interest of time. I ask only that those of you who know the dancing bear story, please tell it to those of you who don't, because it's worth telling, all right? And the point is, it engages neighborhoods, it engages people just like you in that decision-making process. You are the bear, okay? I talked once about even the quixotic notion. In fact, I recall doing that one in Spanish, as a matter of fact, which of course puzzled people. And so I do speak a little Spanish. The only phrase I know now is, tu chaleco salvavidas está abajo de su asiento, which means your life jacket is under your seat. And everything else. You didn't think you'd get away with that, at least one cornball metaphor like that. I talked about the quixotic notion that at some point the voice of sound reason will guide you in your effort. And the voice of sound reason, of course, is the community. That's what it is. I talked about, at one point, what it is to be a successful public official in this community. You got to have vision. You got to be a visionary. But in order to be a visionary, you got to have vision. In order to have vision, you got to be willing to look at the world through other people's eyes and trust what they see from time to time. All decisions that we make have to be explainable and justifiable to what my good friend Jim Burmeyer, who's on the Met Council now, he used to be on their city council, he's called the mythical 8th grade civics class. You got to be able to explain it to them. But guess what? They're not mythical. They're real. Those people at school board, you know exactly how real those 8th graders are. Because one day, they'll be here. And they will judge us in the harshest light possible. Hello? And so our job is to make decisions to protect them from as many mistakes as we possibly can. Because, they don't know it yet, but they will pay more for those mistakes than they know for longer than they can imagine. So our job is to make sure we make the right decisions at the right time so that we have them in mind. Now, how do you do that when the ultimate measure of that might be 20, 30, 40 years down the trail? That's when you're going to know. Here's the deal. You can't. But here's what you can do. You can tap into what I call the collective wisdom of an entire community with that in mind by getting people involved in meaningful ways and times and places and including all the perspectives you can possibly find. You can't do it perfectly. It's not an ideal. This isn't nirvana. But if you get those people involved, you can make those kinds of decisions so that one day those folks will thank you. Now, I apologize. I didn't mean for this to be a civics lesson. I mean, you guys have probably heard this all before. But, you know, Tom talked a lot about, we talked about a lot of things today, but we talked mostly about bricks and mortar. That's what people look at in the city. Oh, look at the bricks and mortar. But that's not the story. Bricks and mortar come and go, buildings come and go, roads come and go, projects come and go, people come and go. I mean, think about the changes that have happened in 25 years here. I know, I've been around that long. I mean, and think of the changes that are coming. 60 years from now, we're going to have to replace all those fire stations we just built. 50 years from now, we'll probably have to redo Excelsior Boulevard again. Okay, depending on how the next baby boom generation shows up. And, you know, who knows the kind of changes that'll happen when, you know, when and if light rail transit comes rumbling through our town. I mean, those are the kinds of changes that happen all the time. But our story is not about the bricks and mortar per se. It's about the process by which those decisions are made. That's our currency of democracy. That's how we control power here. That's how it's used. And that is an amazing, truly amazing process. And I'm not the guy that, I mean, the pictures on the wall, you want to thank people? Thank those guys back there on the wall. Not you, Steve. You guys sit down. I'm talking about the picture behind you. He's back there smiling, thinking, I've only been here for like 6 months. You know? Sorry, that was a truly cheap shot. That's it. But yeah, thank those folks that came before me. Phyllis McQuaid and Lyle Hanks and Gail Dorfman. You know, they're the people that really came up with this idea. I just carried the ball for it a little bit. But it was really fun doing it. And so, you know, our decisions here, we strive to make our decisions based upon facts, as much empirical data as we can find, so that you can make a rational, justifiable decision to the folks that really matter. It's not based on emotion or patronage or, you know, just pure political demagoguery. It's a better decision-making model. And that's why what you see happening, what you saw here on the board, happens all the time. It is why we have those kinds of relationships. It's why I think we make better decisions here. Are they perfect? No. But the process sure makes sense. Now, Shakespeare once wrote that the play is the thing. For us, democracy is the thing. I think we do it better than most places. By no means perfect. But for us, we do democracy the way it was intended to be done when they invented it. But democracy has a very powerful message for power. Democracy demands at least two things of power, maybe more, but at least these two. Democracy demands that power not be held in too few hands, and that it never be held in the same hands for too long. And I've talked about that, and paid lip service to that for years and years. But it has occurred to me recently that in that important regard, I have failed you. Because I'm still here. And I shouldn't be. I've held power long enough. And democracy really is not about controlling power for too long. It's about making sure that you've held power for long enough, and then you step out of the way. So I'll not be seeking another term as the mayor of St. Louis Park. Because it's time. It's time to transition power. And because, you know, there are 1,000 people in this town that could do this job as well as I've been doing it, and 10,000 that could probably do it better. Fair enough. So, you know, I'm not disappearing. I mean, like a lot of my heroes in this town, Jim Rose is one of them, Jim Bremar is another one. I mean, there are lots of ways that you can do something on behalf of a community to make it a better place. That's what I intend to do after this is all over. And so, and I know the press is here. God bless you. I want to, you know, I'll put us. There's all kinds of speculation. Why do you do that? Well, first of all, I'm not dying. Okay, at least not that I know of. Although a couple months, I think in April I got one of those. What do they call them? A colonoscopy coming up, which is. I'll let you know how that goes. It's routine. They're not that bad. I mean, just don't take any long car trips, And so, and there is no scandal afoot. I mean, there's no white van with a hole in the side of it parked outside my door with two guys inside it with black suits and brown socks. There's nobody in there like that. I mean, and so there's nothing like that's going on, as a matter of fact. Although I will tell you that I always figured I'd get impeached long before I had a chance to quit, To tell you the truth. But I got 10 months left to go. I haven't said anything extraordinarily stupid for a while, so I maybe do. So stay tuned. All right. So I want to thank you for listening to all of that. And in closing, in the couple of minutes I got left, I have two thoughts that I'd like to leave you with. First, and I've alluded to this earlier on today, I want you to know what an extraordinary honor it's been to be part of this city. I mean, the people that work here for this community, the employees from Tom Harmening throughout the entire organization, they're the most amazing people in the world. They are truly dedicated and committed to doing the very best job in the world. I will also, is this thing on? Maybe it's not. I won't also share with you the good enough for government work story, but these people are truly extraordinary, and I want you to know what an honor it's been to be a part of the organization that they call ourselves St. Louis Park. And I really want you to know what a true honor it's been to be a part of this community's future planning. Not people say, well, that's politically correct. He has to say that. He's been here for like 25 years, No. If that's what you're thinking, you understand. From the bottom of my heart to the very fiber of my soul, I want you to know what an honor it has been to be part of the team that is St. Louis Park. I truly mean that. Now, the last thing I have, one last thought. I got 5 more minutes. Imagine that. I want you to make a promise, if you would. You don't have to, but I'd like that. Not to me. Promise this to yourselves. Promise yourselves, if you would, that the tradition of public process that I've talked about, that is the basis for all the good stuff that happens in St. Louis Park, that inclusive process, that necessary prerequisite that you not make a decision until you have everybody's perspective. And people don't like that sometimes. I mean, they don't want you to listen to everybody. They want you to listen to them. But that's the hard part. That's why being a public official is so difficult. But I want you to promise that tradition that we've had here in St. Louis Park not die. I want you to promise, if you would, that you will insist of yourselves that you be included in any decision that might impact you, and that you insist that people that represent you on this council buy into that. I want you to promise that tradition that has, I think, been part of the genetic code, the community's DNA, that not fade away. I want you to promise yourselves that, so that 50 years from now, some kid who's in 2nd grade over here at Aquila or Peter Hobart, who will one day, sooner than he thinks, be sitting in one of these chairs, will look back on what we did and how we did it and thank us, even though you'll ever talk to him. And he'll pay that forward, so that 50 years after that, some kid will thank him, even though he'll never talk to him either. Promise yourselves that, so that 50 years from now, some kid in an 8th grade civics class who gets assigned a term paper on the history of governance in St. Louis Park will have something really cool to write about. Have a great, everybody. Thanks for coming.